It's 7 o'clock, but we're having a little technical problem, so we'll start this meeting as soon as possible. Is Tracy?
Yes, I'm here. Tracy's here.
Okay. Terry, are you good to go? Your computer's good? We're ready to go. Good evening. And welcome to the November 18th, 2020 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. At this time, I would request that everyone please turn off or mute all cell phones and other electronic devices. And at this time, I'd ask everyone to stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And thank you for your patience while we get this technology up and working. Applications for conditional use permit requests and rezoning requests will be heard during tonight's meeting. And the commission will vote on these applications and make a recommendation to the county council. The applications will then be scheduled to be introduced before the county council at the Monday, December 7th, 2020 county council meeting. Public comment for conditional use permit requests will be taken during tonight's meeting and at the council meeting on Monday, December the 7th, 2020. Public comment on conditional use permit applications will not be taken at any meeting of the county council held thereafter. Applications for preliminary plats heard during tonight's meeting will also be voted on by the Planning and Zoning Commission during tonight's meeting. The vote on preliminary plats is final. Only a recommendation for denial of a preliminary plat would be heard before the county council at their Monday, December the 7th, 2020 county council meeting. The following documents are introduced as a matter of record for this evening's public hearing and the regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Those documents are the Unified Development Ordinance of St. Charles County, including zoning maps, and the year 2030 Master Plan for St. Charles County, which includes the year 2030 Future Land Use Plan map. I see we have a quorum present. For the record, Ms. Bamer is attending this meeting remotely. Is there a motion to open the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Get this over here. Before we start with the agenda, a little explanation of how our meeting works. I will read into the record the application. Then we will ask the staff for their report. Members of the commissions may have questions for staff. Then we'll ask the applicant to come forward. And if you do come forward, the applicant, and during the public hearing portion, I will have to swear you in since this is a matter of record. We will hear the applicant. Members of the commission may have questions for the applicant. Then we will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak regarding the application can come forward and speak regarding the application. If you speak, over here on the corner of the table, there is one of the card. We ask you to fill this card out and put it in the box. This way we get your name, address, other information correct in our minutes. Okay. Once we have closed the public hearing, we will ask the applicant to come back, answer any questions, concerns that may have arisen during the public hearing. And then at that point in time, the commission will consider the application and we will take a vote. But once we have closed the public hearing, we will not take any more comments from the public. Everyone be aware of that. The first item on our agenda is conditional use permit. Location is at 1042 South Point Prairie Road, application number CUP 20-11. The applicant property owner is Maple Leaf Holdings, LLC. The property zoning is C2 General Commercial District. The conditional use request is outdoor storage of boats and recreational vehicles and self-storage or mini warehouses. The parcel size is 9.7734 acres. It is located on the east side of South Point Prairie Road, approximately 400 feet north of Interstate Drive, adjacent to the city of Wentzville. It is located in Council District 2. Staff.
All right, so you do have a concept plan submitted for these conditional use permits. There are 2 conditional use permits. This property is currently zoned C2, General Commercial. And what they're asking is to expand a current outdoor storage for RV, boat, trailers, items such as that. This portion up here on the northern part, that was previously approved by ordinance in January 2019. What they would like to do is expand down into the southern part of this property, which is also zone C2. While we were discussing their expansion, we did also discuss their outdoor storage units, and they can probably explain that just a little bit better, but apparently some of the RV owners would like to store some items on site and not have to bring them back and forth. So that's what these outdoor storage units are being used for. So that's why you do have that second conditional use permit, not only the expansion to the southern portion of the property, but also the storage units. Several actions have taken place. This entire property is zoned general commercial. Previously, there is a cell tower that's currently being used on the eastern portion of the property. And what we decided when we reviewed this concept plan is that there should be several conditions placed on it if Planning and Zoning Commission and County Council will agree. The first, of course, is that a site plan in conformance with the attached concept plan be submitted and approved. All recreational vehicles and boat trailers stored outdoors must remain currently licensed and in road-ready condition. I think you've heard in the past that that is a concern for the county. Number 3, any existing trees within 20 feet of the western property line remain in place except to meet site distance requirements for the driveway. And number 4, all existing trees and vegetation within 20 feet of the southern property line shall be preserved and maintained as vegetative screening. And of course, no conditional use shall be active until all conditions of the approval are met. One of the concerns has been site and view of the storage unit. We did receive a comment letter from the city of Wentzville. They are asking for a little bit more decorative fencing on the western side for this growth area in the city of Wentzville. On the southern portion, the tree line, we're asking for that to stay, to keep it from view from this interstate drive, which is rapidly developing in this area. So that would be the first condition that you would be voting on. The second one, for the storage units, we would ask that there be no more than 20 self-storage units to be stored outdoors, and no flammables or explosives shall be stored within these units.
Is there any questions for staff?
Do we know if there's lighting on this area? Or what the lighting, because I did notice in the letter from the city, there was a question about the lighting.
Well, when they do develop the formal site plan, that issue is always addressed. It might be best to ask the applicant tonight about the plans there. This is a self-admittance type of unit, so I'm not sure if they have their hours restricted to a certain time
Gotcha.
where they would need that lighting.
Sure.
But either way, we would make sure that it doesn't bleed over off of the property.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Yes, sir.
Ellie, did we answer any of the questions that Wentzville has on there, or we're going to ask the applicant to ask those questions, answer those questions? Because they've got a lot of conditions on here that they're asking questions about certain things that I don't know if they've really been addressed. I mean, to talk about public sewers, those types of things. Are there plans for those?
Well, anytime there's any type of conditional use or rezoning and it's in the city's growth area, we do notify them so that they
Right.
can provide comments. What I can tell you is these storage units on general commercial property typically are occurring prior to getting the services there.
Yeah.
So the applicant, yes, can probably answer the sewer and the water question.
Okay, I'll wait until then.
Any other questions of staff? If not, we'll ask the applicant to come forward.
Hi there.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Tim Kanke. I'm the owner and applicant for this development.
Okay, go ahead, Tim.
Sure. I've got a small presentation, if you don't mind. Would that be something I could pull up here? And I jotted down your questions, so hopefully I get through all of those here. But so as was mentioned, 2 years ago, I was before you, and you were able to give me permission to go ahead and approve the first development. You can see there in the top square there, the current development, that's the 106 space boat and RV parking that we have currently. This is from a screenshot from Google from probably prior to we developed it, so it's not showing there. The proposed development is just below that, the yellow square, and that's basically a cut and paste of what we've already done. Still 106 spaces, about, I believe it's about 2 acres or so of proposed development. One thing I did want to point out, though you might not be able to see it, and I don't know if I can point to it, but along the lower edge there, if you look at the yellow box, the left-hand side and the bottom side, you can see some trees. That existing tree line will remain in place. We won't touch that at all, and it's very thick. I've got a picture of it that I can show you, but it's very thick. We will not touch that, and there's really not even a need I think there was mention of a ornamental fence. There's really not even a need for that because it won't be showing because of the thick tree line there. You'd mentioned earlier our request for 106 new boat and RV storage spaces. We have already put in place 12 self-storage pods or portable storage units, and I've got a picture of what that looks like here. And our current uses, of course, as it says, I believe in the application, is for boat and RV storage on the northern portion of the lot, indoor storage, and I think on the eastern end, there's a landscaping contractor storage yard, and then the telecommunications tower on the property as well. So this is what we've already erected. This is our first development. There was a question of lighting, and you can see in the picture there, we've got 4 25-foot standard lights, and those are on. It's kind of a dusk to dawn, so those come on, when it gets dark, and will stay on for the entire night. And so it's well lit throughout the evening. You can see there at the front we have an automatic opener and closer, so everybody that's a tenant of ours gets a key code to come in and out, so that's all automatic. We don't have ornamental fencing, but it is a cyclone fencing all around the perimeter for protection. We have security cameras. You can kind of see there on the poles there, 6 security cameras that are monitoring the facility throughout the day and the evening. And this is what it'll look like just to the south of this property we developed. This is a picture of the storage unit that's been created. As I mentioned, or as was mentioned, we found that a lot of our boat and RV storage owners have some additional belongings that they'd like to store. And so these were put in place, and we're requesting that 12 of them, I believe it was up to 20 that would be allowed, but we've got 12 of them in place. And it just helps our customers to store a little bit extra that they're not able to store with their RV or their vehicle. I think you saw a picture of this earlier. Again, the current development that's in place now at the top, the proposed development at the bottom there. Off to the right, you'll see the connection between the two. There's a jog down to the lower portion there that will connect the two sites together, so there won't be a separate entrance. It will just be connected all through that one gate in the upper left-hand corner. So people will come in and out through that connection point on the right-hand side there. This is just a closer look at how the spaces are put together there. And the next 2 slides are really just showing you that barrier, that buffer of the tree line that'll remain in place. You can see that. This is the southwest corner tree border along Interstate Drive. And then this is another picture just on the southern border of Interstate Drive. So that's all natural, and that will remain in place. So you can't see any of the parking that's going on. A couple things I wanted to address just to make sure that you understood. What we currently have in place is we allow for parking of boats, RVs, and any other vehicles. As part of our lease, we make sure that they have proper licensing. We collect proof of registration as well. And we make sure that there's no derelict vehicles parked. They have to either be on something that's pulled in, or have to be able to be driven in. There's no allowance for anything that would look like something that was just brought in just to be parked and worked on overnight or anything like that. We want to make sure that it's put together well and drivable into the unit. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any other items that had come up. I guess I'm open to any questions that you might have, if anything came up as I was going through it.
Questions? Mr. Fromm?
Did you read the letter from Wentzville?
We did. We did receive it. I've got my civil engineer here, Justin Winters from Premier Engineering. He give you an idea if you need it now in terms of how we'll respond to it, but most of it, I believe, was related to detention and how that will be arrived at. So I believe there wasn't any questions or concerns on our part in responding to that.
Recommendation is to pave all areas.
Was to
Those
pave the
I
areas.
mean, that's some of in their letter, they're asking that some of these things be implemented.
Yeah, so the current development that we have right now is a dust-free gravel lot.
Okay.
And that was our request to have that as well. We don't see that there's a whole lot of issue with coming and going in terms of kicking up a lot of dust.
Okay.
Most of them drive between 5 and 10 miles an hour, well, probably 5 miles an hour through there, so there's not a whole lot of dust being kicked up.
The reason I'm asking you to address them, because they're talking about someday that this property's gonna be in their jurisdiction possibly, because it's surrounded by Wentzville, and they'd like to have certain things in it too, and if you can do that before, they're gonna be happier with you, and so will the people around you, so, I mean, these are pretty good questions. Vertical concrete curbing, those types of things. I know it costs more money to do these things, but it'll make the area look better too. So do you want to bring the civil engineer up to answer them, or do you just want to attack them each, or answer them each one as you go?
I think we'll probably, I mean, if there's anything specific that you wanted us to drill into, I think we'll probably take some time. I think we got them on Monday. We'll take some time to make sure to answer all those thoroughly and get those back to you.
I'd really like to hear what those answers are tonight, though, because we're going to vote on it tonight.
Tonight? Okay.
Yeah.
Justin, did you have anything that you wanted to speak to?
We try to be good neighbors to the people, that are city people, and anybody around as best we can when it comes to development, so.
I'll
they've
need
got
to
some-
swear you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Justin Winters, 100 Midland Park Drive, Wentzville, Missouri.
Go ahead, Justin.
I guess I could try to answer any question that you have as far as addressing requests that the city has. We understand that this property will be in the scope of Wentzville for future development, being on the corner of Interstate Drive and South Point Prairie there, more so with the introduction of the overpass that's going to be constructed and the continuance of Interstate Drive. This development, I believe, right now, for its current use, is a way for Tim to kind of make some money on his property, but also, I guess, prepare the land for future development with allowing the trees to remain in place. I think it's in Tim's scope in the future that that corner could possibly be used for other commercial needs. And of course, it would be annexed and developed to the city standards.
So at this point, then, there's no intention of paving the surface or putting the ornamental fence up?
Our request is to continue the gravel drive as it's currently constructed with the current development. The water flow will be sheet flow to the detention basin. The detention will be calibrated to St. Charles County design standards, that we won't increase any runoff with this development. And the ornamental fence, like Tim mentioned, the tree line along South Point Prairie is so thick, and we're going to keep those trees in place that the actual developed areas into the property, and you really wouldn't see the decorative or
Sure, I
ornamental
understand
fence.
that, but they did also mention along the roadway too. And it does, a fair amount of it does front on Point Prairie Road.
They want a fence along the road.
They said along roadways, I believe.
There's not much shoulder between the road and the actual tree, so it would actually kind of be creating something dangerous, in my opinion, putting a fence that close to the road.
I think you're talking about probably South Point Prairie.
Yeah.
On South Point Prairie, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Instead of, well, no, I think they're talking about interstate rather.
They want a fence along Interstate Drive.
Well,
Well, the
It
thing
just-
with
It says
Interstate,
running roadways.
yeah, there's not much ground between the actual paved roadway of South Point Prairie to the beginning of the tree line. and the tree line's pretty thick, and then our development's even further into our property. So I think it could be somewhat of a hindrance to traffic or somewhat of a danger if we actually built a fence between the current roadway and that tree line that we intend to keep in place. And then on Interstate Drive too, there's a portion of property that we don't own between Tim's property and Interstate Drive, so we don't have control over that property.
Well, this is basically gonna be a temporary business venture.
I say temporary. Yeah, I mean, it's as permanent as Tim allows it to be, you know, but it will be tucked away and kind of hidden away between, you know, the existing tree line. I only say temporary because of the growth of Wentzville and that intersection, the potential for future development on that corner. You know, the corner's always a great commercial spot. So, yeah, the possibilities, you know, for future development are there.
Do you need to get approval for the gravel, or has that already been done?
We do ask for your approval for that from St. Charles County. And we want to be good neighbors to Wentzville. We do a lot of work. I live in Wentzville, you know, our office is in Wentzville, but we do ask for gravel acceptance tonight.
Well, that's up to us.
It goes before them.
Rob,
Yeah.
you- Any other questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay, seeing none, thank you.
All right, thank you.
We will now open the public hearing for application number CUP 20-11. Anyone here wishing to speak regarding this application? Evening, Arnie.
Good evening.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff, County Public Advocate and resident, mailing address P.O. Box 1535 in O'Fallon, 63366. Before this meeting, I attended the meeting of the Board of, the Wentzville Board of Aldermen, and I brought up this issue during their public session comments and also talked to some of their staff members and some of the elected officials. There are a lot of questions surrounding this property. And in my opinion, the owners of this property, the applicant, has to be good neighbors. Unfortunately, there has not been time for these two parties to negotiate and to come to some type of realization and understanding. I would ask that the board, the Planning and Zoning Commission, table this item for 1 month to allow all the parties to come to some type of fair, amicable, compromised agreement. These issues need to be worked on, need to be responsibility by the developer because they are part of the Wentzville community. It's about being a good neighbor, and I think I heard demonstration from the applicant and his engineer that they do want to be a good neighbor. What is concerned is the 12 portable storage units. The city of Wentzville, and I want to make this a matter of public record, they're asking that all areas be paved of the site for motor vehicle use and the storage areas to mitigate dust and gravel on adjacent public streets and to the adjacent property. There's a neighborhood directly across the street, and these people have put in a substantial value of their home value, and I don't think that they want to be dusting every day of their property inside. The city of Wentzville recommends, and this letter was dated November 3rd, 2020, so actually it's been a few weeks, not just Monday. Right here it's evidence of the date. The second recommendation, and it was written by Doug Forback, the Director of Community Development for the city of Wentzville. The second recommendation is to use vertical concrete curbing for any area adjacent to required green space. Emphasis on the frontage roadway. Wentzville's trying to put a good image and try to instill home values and a good sense of community. The third recommendation is ensuring the existing tree lines will be retained or is recommended to landscape the project with 2.5-inch caliber trees spaced 1 to 35 feet on the center along the road frontage to South Point Prairie Road. This tract within the HF Highway Frontage Overlay District of the City of Wentzville, having improved performance standards for development adjacent to the frontage of the community. This section is 405.290 of the City Code. Fencing in the district is required to be ornamental. So everybody in the surrounding properties has to abide by this. Yes, this is unincorporated, and I get that, but eventually it's going to be annexed, as you'll see later on in the recommendation. The next recommendation is that public sewer being planned of any portion of the 9.77 acres. Access to the city's public sewer or water will require annexation in the city of Wentzville. So they're not going to give them sewer unless they annex. And the land use approval from the city of Wentzville. If signage is being planned for the property, the city of Wentzville is asking, restrict the use of the property to use only monumental signage. And I totally agree with that. It's a much better look than pole signs or vinyl signs that fall apart during winter and windstorms. Is lighting being planned or required by the county code? A maximum height of 24 feet poles and fixtures are black and light source with a metal halide LED to use full cutoff fixtures to avoid glare of the parking area associated with the adjacent residential area. Also recommended is the practice of underground electric for the site's development for any electrical power needs. And the final recommendation from the City of Wentzville Planning and Community Development is a condition of approval. So this is where you commissioners would add an additional approval as recommended to ensure that the tree line is retained associated with the county engineering review and grading approvals. If you don't put that in, they can cut down those trees. But we do have a tree codified ordinance that would require them to save 25% of those trees according to our ordinance. Also, I'd like to bring to your attention as commissioners, a Wesley Harden sent you an email on November 2nd, 2020, and is against this proposition. Danny Grip, last name is Grippi, sent you a letter of opposition on November 2nd, 2020. He lives in the Glenhurst neighborhood, which is directly across the street from this development. There are some additional conditions that I'd like you to take into account. And first of all, I'd like you to answer these questions as commissioners. And this comes from the codified county code 405.510.b of the Unified Development Ordinances. Would establishing, maintaining, or operating the conditional use be detrimental to or endanger public health, safety, and the general welfare? I would answer yes. Would the conditional use injure the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted? I would answer yes. Would the conditional use injure the aesthetic and or scenic values of the vicinity? I would say yes. Would the conditional use substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood? You ask your question, commissioners, your homeowners. Would you buy a house that abuts this storage area? I would say yes. I wouldn't buy the house, but I would say it doesn't meet criteria number 4. Criteria number 5, would the conditional use impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding property for uses permitted in the zoning district? And I would say a yes. Now, the additional conditions that I'd like you to add are condition number 1, no working on vehicles at any time on this property. The second condition is that no sales be allowed. The third condition is that no rentals be allowed. And the pods are of concern. Where are they going to be placed? If they're not going to be placed on one particular part of the site, that's of real concern to the property owners. The setbacks are of concern. Does it meet the codified code? The tree preservation ordinance, I ask that you follow the recommendation of the experts, the City of Wentzville professions, and our own professional county planners. And I ask that you put a condition of a type 3 berm, which would ensure that shrubs are first planted on the inside of the property, a site-proof oriental fence be erected, The trees, white spruce, grow very fast. As you know, your former member has recommended that lots of times to this commission. Then we have landscaping, and of course, it's for the protection of the adjoining residences and the further economic development in this neighborhood. Water control, it was mentioned by the applicant, but does it go far enough that they're not going to erode or have water problems with adjoining properties? And what about the filtration system? When you put recreational vehicles, they're going to leak oil and transmission and coolant. What's going to capture and filter and make sure that our environment is clean and that this site doesn't turn into be chemicals on the ground in the gravel? And that's why I asked that you have a paved surface. And finally, you need to take into effect this entity doesn't pay any additional taxes besides real estate taxes that would improve the community and improve our public services for both the county and the city of Wentzville. You have to take into effect the effect on the residents of the Glenhurst neighborhood, which is adjoining this property, and of course, what this impact is on economic development. I truly feel in my heart that this is not the place for an outdoor storage. You've approved several storage areas in the county, and this just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit for the city of Wentzville. It doesn't fit for our economic development of the county. And I ask that you deny it for the following reasons that I had laid out. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak regarding application CUP 20-11? Anyone else? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. Bring this back to the commission for consideration. Anyone have any questions, comments? Ellie, I have a question. The property to the east, how far is all of that zone commercial?
Yes, this entire parcel is general commercial.
No, I mean, east of this parcel.
Oh, east of this parcel?
I'm looking at the photo map. So you have to the east, I believe is it a gravel pit?
It's just undeveloped land.
The white shows, that would be the city of Wentzville. So
Okay.
this is surrounded pretty much by the city of Wentzville, except to the west, that remains agricultural zoning.
Yeah. But we don't know what that little, to the east and then to the north, that's all in the city of Wentzville?
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Bamer, do you have any questions?
Says it's-
I guess she does. We will bring the applicant back. Anyone have any additional questions for the applicant?
Yeah, Tim, how many current customers do you have?
Currently, we have 106 spots and
Are
106.
they used pretty much all the time, or
Yeah,
of the
they're-
ones you currently have in place?
Yeah, they're all filled. We've noticed that, like I said, I was here 2 years ago for your approval. And we were able to develop it and get it filled up fairly quickly. So there's a high demand in that area because of the restrictions, to put RVs and so forth in parking spots at home. So it's a very important need in the area.
What kind of rules do you have for your customers about working on vehicles and coming and going? Those are always concerns, and
Sure. We tell them up front that it's absolutely prohibited to work on anything. And most people, if you drove by and looked at it, I would say 80% have very nice RVs there. So they're not working on it. They would take it to a local place to get it fixed if it needed to get worked on. So they're not working on their vehicles. They're all very nice vehicles.
And then the gravel. I know you don't want to spend a whole lot of money putting in curbing and even asphalt tell me about the gravel. Is it dust-free? I know you're putting something special in. You got to answer those questions. You guys just kind of gloss over them.
Sure. So I will say, of course, 2 years ago, we did get approval for that. I think the concern on the gravel is that it's going to kick up a lot of dust. The people, when they drive through, because they've got larger buses that they're bringing in, can't maneuver fast through the facility. So they're going 3 to 5 miles an hour at the most. They're not kicking up much dust. And so I wouldn't say that there's hardly any of it that's being kicked up. We used a rock that, when you look at it, there's no dust on it. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it was used for that specific purpose, so that there wouldn't be clouds of dust being kicked up when people are driving on it.
Okay.
So, kind of piggybacking on what Craig was asking, so people could not have a for sale sign on their vehicle while it's in the lot?
I can't say that for sure, but most people are not doing that. In fact, I don't know of anybody that's done that for the year that we've had it open.
So you said you tell people this, what kind of restrictions are written that people is it a lease situation, or is it a month to month, or how's this all, the agreement come about?
Sure, so our lease agreements are month to month with the tenants. They can cancel at any time. Most of them are long-term tenants because they, go to the lake or go to different places to travel, so they're there, coming and going. In terms of them selling their units, we don't see that people are putting for sale signs. It would be hard for them to even advertise very well inside the unit that way. So we're not seeing that very much.
I think that restriction
Did-
would be,
Did I answer that question?
he couldn't.
Right, but I mean, I'm also thinking about if people have it, that also is gonna create access for other people coming in and out, looking at it. I mean, I think that would be a possible concern. Okay, I think that answers my questions.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I have a question. This is Tracy.
Hold on. Go ahead, Tracy.
So one of the neighbors is complaining that there is an excessive amount of gravel and dust currently. There was 2 complaint letters that were added. One mentions that, the other one does not, talks more about the congestion of the neighborhood. And that combined with the city of Wentzville wanting some type of covering, whether it's concrete, asphalt, whatever the case may be, I have concerns with that, especially for the future. So, do you have rain-off? Is there, where is that dust going? Gravel naturally does have dust, especially in the summertime. I don't care how good it says it's dust-free. There is an issue, and you're going to be adding, how much more gravel area are you going to be adding to this?
Sure. So to the question of dust, this, if you were to look at it from a cross-sectional view, this is actually in a lower depressed section. It comes down even into our lower section. I don't know what the height would be between the flatness of the surface and the height of the tree, but it might be 20 to 25 feet is the differential. So even if you were to create a big plume of dust, and that won't happen, the trees are so thick and they cover it so well that there wouldn't be any noticeability from that area. Like I mentioned in my presentation, those trees are very thick, and this section that we're adding would not even be seen from South Point Prairie or from Interstate Drive. There'll be nothing even to be seen.
How much area is going to be gravelled? New area? What?
The size of the.
Quarter acre, what is it going to be?
The size of it, Justin, do you remember much? 2 acres?
2 acres. Did you hear that, Ms. Bamer?
Okay.
Okay.
How are the pods determined to be placed on the ground?
How are they determined to be placed on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, how do you determine where they're gonna be placed?
Sure. So we had placed them on the northern, on the northern side. I think you can see the X's up there in the stalls. Right there is where they're at on the top side, the north side there. There's 12 spots right there where we had marked them out.
And would the additional 8 that you're requesting also go in that same area?
We wouldn't be requesting any further. I think the note was just that no more than 20 would be allowed. So the 12 that we have would be no more.
I see. Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? Hearing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bring this back to the commission for consideration. Questions, comments?
I would propose that add the condition of it being a paved surface, and then all the other conditions as written out by the county, as the conditions for approval.
Okay, so you're making a motion that
That the new area be paved,
be paved.
right?
Okay.
Not stating whether it be concrete or asphalt or whatever, just that it be paved.
Okay, and that, in addition to the other recommendations from staff?
Correct.
Okay. That would be, let me get back up here. So that would be condition number 6, that the area be paved.
Correct. That would be what I would add. Right. Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Clary's motion is that CUP 20-11 be approved to include all conditions recommended by staff, and adding condition number 6, that the surface area be paved. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, that's his motion. Mr. Wrong. Oh, wait a minute, Mr. Clary made the motion. Okay. Anyone have any questions about the motion?
You know, one of the things I'd like to point out is just 2 years ago, we approved the exact same thing, okay? The exact same thing with, and allowed the, you know, the gravel surface, okay? Obviously, the present one is not gonna change. That's gonna be gravel. It's been gravel for the last 2 years, or since they've opened up a year ago. So I really, you know, I really don't see the need for that, you know, for the, you know, the idea that we need to pave it, simply because it goes against what we just did 2 years ago.
My thinking, Terry, was that we're now doubling the amount of space. There's the dust that was before had a chance to settle on this area that is now grassed, and so if you eliminate that and add additional dust, that's really my thinking on it.
You gonna specify what it needs to be paved with?
No, just a paved surface.
Any other questions regarding the motion? Robert?
If you have any, if you have any questions about pavement type and dust, I can try to answer those if you'd like.
Okay, well, I don't have any specific ones, but could you maybe explain the options?
Sure. Parking surfaces must be paved. Is that on?
It's
Okay, thank you. Parking surfaces must be paved unless they ask for a special exception not to pave it and have an alternative dust-free surface. What I do as the Planning and Zoning Division Director is I allow applications to be made for alternative dust-free surface. I let them propose a surface. Sometimes it's asphalt millings, which is not paved, but it doesn't kick up dust really. I mean, I've seen slag before surface. It's not paved, but it's essentially a dust-free surface. We've also allowed gravel, but if we receive a complaint, we'll require that they apply a chemical like calcium chloride, or sometimes people will apply cottonseed oil. There's some other alternatives. So we'll often put a note on the site plan that says, if the county requires it, and if we receive complaints, essentially, we'll contact the owner, and the owner agrees that they'll make application or apply like a chemical or a natural oil to it to address dust. So those are some alternatives that we have. That's pretty typical.
So would it be accurate to say that amending it with a dust-free surface, and that would give them more latitude? Is that what you're essentially?
Yes, that's already required. It's got to be pavement or an alternative dust-free surface. That's in the code currently.
Okay. Well, I mean, if everyone wants to mitigate what I'm saying, or change what I'm saying, but I don't have any additional comments.
Okay. So you want to leave your motion the way it is,
Yes.
that it be paved? Okay, we'll call for a vote. Ms. Spamer, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Sally?
Yes.
Mr. Clary?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhn?
Yes.
Mr. Fromm?
No.
No. Mr. Hollander?
No.
And I vote no. Okay, motion passes 4-3. Okay. Thank you.
Now we need a motion to approve.
There's a second CUP as well.
Oh, we gotta do
But we've only approved his addition to it, right?
Yes.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Let me get back here. They only gave me one sheet. Okay. So the next issue is the storage units. Okay, no more than 20 storage units shall be stored outside. No flammables or explosives shall be stored within those units. Is there a motion to approve that recommendation?
Motion.
Second?
Okay. Mr. Hollander made the motion. Did you say second?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Spamer, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Sally?
Yes.
Mr. Clary?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhn?
Yes.
Mr. Fromm?
No.
Mr. McDonald's not here. Mr. Hollander?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. So that passes. Okay. I think we're done with that one. Agenda. Okay. The next item on our agenda is a rezoning request. Location is 2334 Mexico Road. Application number is RZ 20-12. The property owner is Crossings Church of Christ. Current zoning is A Agricultural District. Requested zoning is C2 General Commercial District. The 2030 master plan recommends low-density residential uses, 0.25 to 1 acre minimum lot sizes. The parcel size is 5.42 acres. The location is on the north side of Mexico Road, approximately 120 feet east of Tuscany Lane, adjacent to the city of Wentzville and near the village of Josephville. It's located in Council District 1. Staff.
All right, as you can see from the aerial view that I have up here, this is for a 5-acre piece, it's a fairly narrow and long parcel, something that you don't typically find for use as a commercial development. The other thing I'd like to point out is this is located between Hancock Road and Guthrie Road further down to the east. Along this area, along Mexico Road here, this is mostly development by the city of Wentzville, especially closer, the further west you go. But what they are doing is primarily low-density residential units, not commercial, right along the lane there. Sometimes you'll find, like for instance, along Highway N, there's development that you get commercial development that elongates and goes down the highway, but along Mexico Road, we have not found anything such as that. If you look at the zoning, they're also still surrounded by agricultural zoning, and again, as the city expands in their growth area here, we expect this all to become low-density residential. The land use plan also calls for this low-density residential, which is typically 1 to 4 units per acre. If you see to the west, this is again in the city of Wentzville's development area. The land use plan recommends industrial zoning. Again, this is west of Hancock and getting closer towards the GM complex and all of the supporting units around there. Staff also looked at, well, we did get comment letters from the city of Wentzville, and of course, their comments also follow this general guideline. But staff also looked at development. Where you typically like to find commercial development is at major intersections, such as this develops, maybe at Hancock and Mexico Road. But further to the east, there's general commercial development at Guthrie Road in Mexico. Or the land use also recommends development there, not midway in between along low-density residential. Because of all of this, staff is recommending that Planning and Zoning Commission recommend denial. We did receive one letter of opposition and the comment letter from the city of Wentzville.
Any questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll ask the applicant to come forward. The applicant not here, okay. We will open the public hearing for application number RZ 20-12. Anyone here wishing to speak regarding application RZ 20-12? You solemnly swear or affirm that you tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and these proceedings are under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff, public advocate and resident, mailing address P.O. Box 1535 in O'Fallon. The first thing that I'd like to say about this is our 2030 master plan, which we just approved last year, or at the beginning of this year, recommends low-density residential uses. A quarter of an acre to an acre minimum size lots, and we're talking about 5.42 acres here. We're talking about a church, and so I don't even know if this property is large enough to be conducive and hold a church. Now my question is, since it's right next to, it's unincorporated, but it's right next to the municipalities of the city of Lake St. Louis, the city of O'Fallon, and the city of Wentzville. Did we reach out to them and allow them to pass a resolution for a remonstrance, which would require a supermajority of a vote on the county council? The zoning analysis, staff, Mr. Myers and his staff, state that the configuration of the parcel does not lend itself to commercial use. Although the overall lot area is 5 acres, the parcel is narrow, 188 feet, and depthness is 1,074 feet, and lacks traffic visibility. So have we done a traffic study? I implore any of you to go out and visit Mexico Road. It's a country bumpkin road, 2 lanes, doesn't have the ditches, the culverts, the safety constraints, no shoulder to pull over. So if you're going to have Sunday services, this is not the place for traffic. The recommendation was loud and clear from county staff. Recommendation of denial, as you heard. The county staff finds the proposed zoning to be inconsistent with the 2030 land use plan, lacks sufficient traffic visibility to support commercial usage. Also, what was brought up by staff was the letter dated November 3rd, 2020, from Doug Forbach, the Director of Planning and Community Development for the City of Wentzville. Both the City of Wentzville and St. Charles County plans together for the betterment of the county as a whole, and I think that we need this joint partnership. The city requests that the Planning and Zoning Commission and County Council deny the requested petition for change in zoning to C2 General Commercial based upon nonconformability with the City of Wentzville and the County of St. Charles adopted land use planning documents. And he goes on and on. I totally concur with this. There was an email that was sent on November 8th from resident Robert, and I'll spell the last name, Schrauttemeier, who's a resident of the Fox Ridge neighborhood. And he says 5 neighborhoods that lie on Mexico Road, Tuscany Trails, Fox Ridge, West Wind Park, Brookview, and Brookview Ridge Estates. It's going to have a negative impact on their community and their home property values. Mexico Road is 2 lanes without the appropriate safety measures that I had stated, and he is opposed to it. I'm not sure if other residents in the neighborhood were notified with the requirement of the state statute within a certain amount of footage, and if the county advertised with some type of placard or some type of sign notifying residents of the zoning change. I'm adamantly opposed to this. This is not the place for this type of facility, and I would ask that you deny it and send it on to a recommendation for denial to the county council. Thank
For
you.
the record, Mr., this letter was not an official remonstrance from the city of Wentzville,
No,
so it doesn't require a supermajority.
no. What I said at the beginning is, did staff send to the 3 cities the opportunity to draft a resolution for remonstrance? I talked to them tonight about it, and they are considering a resolution, but did the county reach out and tell them what the state statute allows them to do? I just was saying the November 3rd letter from the Community Development Director. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak regarding application RZ 20-12? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. And applicant is not present, so we'll bring this back to the commission for consideration. Is there any questions, comments?
Yes, Mr. Myers, would this have to be rezoned commercial for a church? I know the church is the people that are asking for the rezoning.
We don't have any information that a church wants to be located here. As a matter of fact, a church could locate in just about any zoning district under the current agricultural zoning. I think a church, I can't remember if it's allowed by right or conditional use.
It's
Permissive, okay. So that's not really a factor in this application.
Yeah, I took this somehow the church became owners of this property, and they had a purchaser who was requesting
Yeah.
it be changed.
I think that's what it really is.
Yeah. Anyone else? The chair will entertain a motion to approve RZ 20-12.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Hollander, second by Mr. Kuhn. Mr. Cleary, how do you vote?
No.
Mr. Kuhn?
No.
Mr. Fromm?
No.
Mr. Hollander?
No.
Ms. Sally? No. Ms. Spamer, how do you vote?
No.
And I vote no. Application is denied. Okay. Okay. Next item on our agenda is a rezoning request located at 1101 Dingledine Road. Application number is RZ 20-13. The property owner is Marlene C. Loeffel Trust. Developer is Rawls Company. Current zoning is R1B, single-family residential district, 20,000 square foot minimum lot size with floodway fringe overlay district. The requested zoning is to rezone 30.3 acres to R3B, multifamily residential district, and 10.5 acres to R1E, single-family residential district, 7,000 square foot minimum lot size. The 2030 master plan recommends low-density residential uses, 0.25 to 1 acre minimum lot sizes. The parcel size is 40.08 acres. The location is on the west side of Dingledine Road, approximately 120 feet south of Pine Bluff Drive, near the cities of St. Peters and Weldon Spring. It's located in Council District 7. Staff.
On tonight's agenda, we actually have two applications. One is a rezoning request for this property, and the second is for preliminary plat approval for this property. As you know, the zoning request would be reviewed by this body, and then after a recommendation would go to the county council for decision, and it would be up to the county council to decide whether or not to rezone this property. A preliminary plat, on the other hand, could be approved by this body if you choose to do so, and obviously it would be subject to the rezoning request that would go before the county council. So, should you approve a plat, for instance, and the zoning is denied, then the plat would be moot. We wouldn't be able to sign that plat. So first, I'd like to talk about the rezoning request, which is more conceptual, and it's a broader question. Is this the right place for the zoning, the land uses that they're proposing? In this case, I'll call it a 40-acre parcel just for explanation purposes. It's easier to describe it that way. A 40-acre parcel that's already developed around it. The existing land use patterns are suburban, single-family residential neighborhoods. This tract, again, is 40 acres, and they're proposing, in the plat that's on your agenda, you'll see that they're proposing, like their neighbors, neighboring properties, a single-family residential subdivision. So they're proposing strictly a single-family residential subdivision, even though they're requesting the R3B zoning for part of this property, which is multifamily, and I'll explain the reason why. The applicants have explained to me they're interested in a development that has a variety of lot widths for single-family homes, so that there can be more variety. And by rezoning it to R3B multifamily residential for a portion of the property, 30 acres out of the 40 roughly, that would allow them to do these single-family homes with a narrower lot width in some circumstances. It just so happens that R3B zoning is the same, or it matches the R3B zoning to the north for the existing subdivision called Pine Bluff Villas subdivision. That is a single-family residential subdivision that was developed under the R3B zoning. So what they're proposing here is essentially similar to that. For the southern portion of the property, proposing R1E single-family residential zoning, and that would be more in keeping with the adjoining subdivision to the south, the Stafford Place subdivision, which has the lots that would be more similar to the zoning they're proposing. So that's really the essence of the zoning request. The land use plan, the future land use plan, calls for that the yellow indicates future land use of low density residential, which our master plan defines as 1 to 4 dwellings per acre. If you take the 40 acres, the 138 homes that they're proposing and divided by 40 acres, it is actually, as applied, it would be within that that low density designation of 1 to 4 units per acre. It's actually sorry, getting mixed up, gross or net, but density, I forgot which one would be, but it would, the result would be that it would conform to that low density designation. So we have, as part of your packet, I'll let everyone in the audience know that we have received much correspondence, and including 21 letters of opposition, 8 letters of comments and concerns, And one of those letters of opposition was from the Emerald Place Board of Trustees for the subdivision on the east side of Dingledine Road. But all of these in your packets are in your packets and are part of the record. And so you have had a chance to review those and become familiar with those. For the rezoning, county staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of the requested zoning map amendments.
Any questions for staff?
So, Robert, I do have a question. So if they could get the 138 lots on with regular R1E, what would be the purpose of adding in the multifamily?
They could not get quite 138, and the applicant can explain that to you better than I can. They could get close to that, but not that many. And the reason is because they're looking to have some narrower lots. The homes would all still meet a 7-foot side yard setback, for instance, but they are looking to have some of those lots to be narrower than what's allowed, strictly speaking, in the R1E zoning district.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Seeing none, we'll ask the applicant to come forward. Haven't seen you in a while. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Drew Weber with Hamilton Weber Law Firm, 200 North 3rd Street, St. Charles, 63301. And I'm here on behalf of Rouse Development for this rezoning application. So, as the staff mentioned, the proposal here is a split of R3B and R1E zoning. This map shows the approximate boundary line between the R3B and the R1E. So the property is slightly more than 40 acres. So we're proposing about a little over 30 of those acres to be R3B, and then about 10 and a half to be R1E. And again, I just want to make clear, I know there was some confusion in some of the comments submitted by property owners, but the proposal here is all single family. No multifamily, no attached villas. It's all detached single family homes. So in the UDO, the R1E zoning district, so the southern portion of the property, has a minimum lot size of 7,000 square feet, and single-family homes are a permitted use. And then in the R3B district, for single-family homes, the minimum lot size is 4,000 square feet, and single-family homes are a permitted use in the R3B. So even though it's a multifamily, it's called a multifamily zoning district, it allows single-family residential developments. So here's the surrounding zoning land use map that the staff showed, and I want to focus on this a little bit. So currently the property is R1B. You can see nowhere adjacent or near this property is any other R1B zoning. Almost all the properties are R1E or R3B. You can see to the southwest there's a little bit of R1D, but basically all the other subdivisions are R3B and R1E. And so to the north, you see there's several R3B subdivisions. Directly north, to the northwest, and then slightly over to the northeast. There's villas in Pine Bluff, which is directly to the north, but at the northeast and northwest, those are single-family home subdivisions, substantially similar in lot size to what this one will be. So even though they're zoned R3B, for whatever the planning history is, multiple single-family subdivisions are zoned R3B in at least this part of the county. And so here's an aerial map. I've labeled some of the various subdivisions. As you've seen, there's residents who've commented about from various subdivisions. And so I want to talk about each of the subdivisions as a comparison. Due to COVID, we weren't able to have a neighborhood meeting, but we appreciate all the residents' comments, and so hopefully I can kind of address those. We'll address the rezoning issues now, and then when it's preliminary plat stage, we'll talk about traffic and those kind of issues as well. So if we start from the top and go counterclockwise, we've got Pine Bluff to the north, then to the northwest, Nottingham Forest, to the west, Shenandoah Park, to the southwest, West Hampton, to the south, Stafford Place, to the southeast, Cambridge Crossing, then to the east, Emerald Woods. And all of those homes, I mean, they were all part of farms, several decades ago, right? In fact, some of them were part of the Leffler farm in times past. And so this is the last parcel to be sold off into a subdivision. So as the staff said, I won't dwell on this very long. Here's the future land use plan. All those subdivisions, except Pine Bluff, all those subdivisions that I just mentioned have the same future land use that this one does, 1 to 4 units per acre. So here's the density comparisons. So this subdivision as proposed is called Crater Farms. And with 138 homes on 40.8 acres, that's 3.38 homes per acre. So starting from the top, if you think of that map I showed you, directly north is Pine Bluff. There's 2.7 homes per acre. Now that number is skewed a bit because they have a significant chunk of floodplain and hills on their property that's basically undevelopable. So then if you go to the northwest, Nottingham Forest, that's 3.1 homes per acre. Shenandoah Park is 3.4 homes per acre. West Hampton Place, which was southwest of the property, that's 2.5 homes per acre. Stafford Place is 3.3 homes per acre. Cambridge Crossing, now you're back on the other side of Dingledine, that's southeast, that's 3.5 homes per acre. And the only real outlier is Emerald Woods. Those homes are around 1 acre lots, so that's 0.9 homes per acre. So that's the only real outlier here. So there were also concerns about house sizes. Because some of these lots were perceived as being smaller, there were concerns about the proposed house sizes. Well, what we're proposing, as staff mentioned, is a wide range of housing product here. So generally on the north of the property, and you'll see this with the preliminary plat, but generally on the north, there's going to be slightly smaller lots, and so some slightly smaller homes. So that's where you see the 1,500 up to the mid-2,000 square footage. Then the farther south you go, the bigger the lot sizes get. So then when you're on the south portion of the property is where you get some of the homes that'll be 3,000 square feet plus. So if we take our clockwise or counterclockwise tour again, if you're looking at Pine Bluff, those are mostly 1,500 to 1,600 square feet. I will do a caveat and say there's hundreds of homes around here. I did not look at every single home, but these are generally what most of the homes sizes are in these subdivisions. And there may be people here who have bigger or smaller ones, but these are generally the range. So if you go to Nottingham Forest, that's 900 to 1,600. Shenandoah Park on the west, 1,000 to 1,700. West Hampton Place is a little larger, 2,000 to 3,500. Stafford Place, again, that's directly south, 1,900 to 2,500 square feet. Cambridge Crossing, most of those homes are 1,500 to 2,500 square feet. And then Emerald Woods, again on the east side of Dingledine, is 1,800 to 2,300. So what we're proposing here from a house size perspective is in line with and frankly larger than some of the surrounding areas. There were also some concerns raised by the residents about housing prices. What we're anticipating is that the homes in this subdivision will sell for between $300,000 and $500,000. That's a wide range because there's a wide difference in the size of houses, and there's add-ons and things like that. So we were able to take sale prices from public records, so from the assessor's office, for the past 2 or 3 years for the various other subdivisions around. And you can see there, with the exception of West Hampton Place, most of the homes in this area are selling in the 200s. Some in the 300s. Emerald Woods, most of those are in the 300s. But so the proposed sale price here is certainly within the range and at the higher end of the range of the nearby subdivisions. The last comparison that I want to talk about are the lot sizes. We'll get into this with the preliminary plat too, but it's pertinent because That's one reason why we're seeking the R3B zoning is for lot size, the smaller lot sizes on the north. So even though in R3B zoning, you're allowed 4,000 square foot lot size for single-family homes, we're not going that low. On that northern portion, our homes are between 6,500 and 13,900 square feet. The bigger ones are the cul-de-sac corner lots, right? So most of the homes that are on the straightaway streets are between 6,500 and 7,000 up on the northern portion. Then if you go to the southern portion of the property, those lots are mostly 7,000 to 17,500, with most being in the range of 8,500 to maybe 9,300 square feet. So if we take our tour again of the nearby subdivisions, you can see Pine Bluff, because those are villas, that's directly north. Those are a little smaller, 5,000 to 7,000. And so that matches up with the northern portion of our property. Then, with the exception of Emerald Woods, all the other homes, or all the other subdivisions predominantly have lots in the 8,000 to 10,000 square foot range. Now again, that's average. There's corner lots in all these subdivisions that are much bigger, than the majority of the lots. But majority of the lots in these subdivisions on, the straightaways are in the neighborhood of 8,000 to 10,000 square feet. And so that's what we've proposed the farther south that you go on our property to match these surrounding subdivisions. So again, the only outlier is Emerald Woods, which is on the other side of Dingledine. We have a couple dozen elevations. I didn't want to bore you going through all of them, but I do have handouts if anyone would like to see them all. So I just want to highlight a few things that are proposed here, because that was another concern that seemed to be raised by some of the residents, is what's the housing stock? Is it all going to look the same? Well, like we said, there's going to be some smaller lots and some larger lots. So here's a couple ranch-style homes. You see these have 3-car garages. Some of the ranch-style homes will have 2-car garages. But you can see there's different colors, different frontages, different materials being used. Now we go to our mid-range. These are some mid-range 2-story homes. These are depicted with 2-car garages, but again, different frontages, different materials, different colors. And then at the higher range, these are the homes that are going to be above 3,000 square feet at that higher selling point price range. Got 3-car garages. Again, there's more elevations than these, but these are just a sampling. So this is what's proposed for this subdivision. And that's why we're submitting the preliminary plat at the same time, because we understand that if people get notices that say it's being rezoned to R3B, then that raises a concern about high-density developments. And so what we're trying to show here is, no, this is not high density. This is a development that's in line with most of the adjoining subdivisions. It's not going to be homes that all look the same. There's a wide variety of housing stock. And so the last thing that I want to mention is to talk about the developer a little bit. I think there was some confusion. I saw some of the comment letters and some posts on social media were concerned that this was not a town developer. I'm sure a lot of you know, but Rouse has been around for a long time. I mean, they're one of the quintessential St. Louis developers. It started here in 1955. Greg Rouse is 3rd-generation developer here. They've done a lot of developments in St. Charles County, St. Louis County, Jefferson County, all in the St. Louis area. So Rouse does a good product. They stand by their product with their warranties, and again, there's not really a more St. Louis-based home builder than Rouse. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Again, I'll be back up to discuss some of the traffic issues with the preliminary plat stage, but we ask for your recommendation of approval to the county council.
Any questions of the applicant?
I've got several. Okay, same question as I asked Robert. If you just kept it R1E, how many lots could you get on here?
So I don't know the exact number. I mean, obviously, it would be less if you just kept it R1E. The minimum lot size is 6,500 square feet that we're proposing. So it's not a whole lot off, right? These aren't 4,000 square foot lots. But the idea was just to provide a wider variety of housing stock. I mean, if all these are above 7,000, then it is going to be a subdivision of houses that look alike, and you're just not going to have that wide variety.
And then you mentioned the 1,500 square feet to 2,500 square feet, I believe.
3,500.
35.
Yeah.
Is that going to actually be written into the covenants that the minimum square footage on a house will be 1,500 square feet?
Well, so there will be subdivision covenants. I haven't written them. I mean, no one's written them yet. So there will be subdivision covenants that deal with things like lot sizes. Now, can I
No, I'm
say?
talking about the square footage of the house itself.
Right.
You had
Yeah,
mentioned
sorry.
1,500 square feet. And,
Right.
you know, I've
So-
seen where developers have gone in and started off with 1,500 square feet, but the covenants were written to allow for a lower.
Right.
Not that Browse is a great company, I have no problem with that. But I'm just saying that just for the protection of the, you know, surrounding communities,
Right.
is anything like that can be done in the covenants?
Yeah, so that's something we can do, we can look into. I mean, they frankly, again, just haven't been drafted yet, and we haven't talked about that, but that's something that can be put in there.
Okay, and when in the covenants are, obviously they haven't been drafted yet, will there be something that will say that none of the homes will be attached?
Well, I mean, the homes will be, so yes, they can, but
They can what?
yes, the covenants can say that none of
Yeah,
the homes
okay.
will be attached.
Okay.
But, I mean, that'll be decided at the final plat, you know, before we have covenants and even building. You got these setbacks, so we can't have them attached, right? I mean, our preliminary
don't
plat
know. I
shows
don't know.
these, yeah.
I mean, you know, if it's R, with the three, the
Right.
multifamily, theoretically, I think that one development, they're attached homes.
We'd have to come back with a new preliminary plat, right? I mean, so it'd be a waste of money, right? The attorney's fees and engineering fees, I mean, we just have to come back and do a new plat. So, and that's not gonna happen,
Okay, so you're saying for sure there will be no attached homes?
right?
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
We will now open the public hearing for RZ 20-13. This public hearing is regarding the rezoning request, okay? Issues of traffic control, water management, runoff, those types of things we will address in the public hearing for the preliminary plat, okay? So if you have concerns about that, save that, because we will go through this again here in a few minutes. So anyone wishing to come and speak regarding the rezoning request? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Richard Brooks, and I live at 4028 Emerald Drive.
All right, go ahead, Richard.
I have the closest house to the entrance of this property. It's what I see when I look out my kitchen window while eating in my dining room, and it's my view when sitting on my patio. The reason for zoning laws are to create a standard set of rules for builders and homeowners to follow. The builder who is proposing this zoning change would like to build single-family homes on this property. The zoning restrictions for this type of housing fall under Article 3, residential districts. According to Section 405.090, minimum lot size for single-family districts is known as R1E. R1E has a minimum lot size of 7,000 square feet and a minimum width of 70 feet. The majority of their plan have a 6,500 square foot lot size and a width of 54 feet. The builder has found a loophole by trying to rezone these R3B multifamily residentials. The lot size can be under 7,000 square feet, and they can have a narrower lot size. However, Section 405.105, Section A states the following. The statement of intent. The intent of this district is to provide for medium-density residential developments in environments which will be compatible with surrounding land uses. Let me read that last line again. Which will be compatible with surrounding land uses. The definition of compatible is to be consistent with another. The neighborhoods that border 3 sides of this development are R1E low density, all with at least 70-foot lot widths. My house in Emerald Woods, the subdivision directly across from this property, sit on, all the houses in my subdivision sit on an acre of land. The 2030 master plan calls for low-density residential homes with a minimum of a 1/4 acre, which equals 10,890 square feet. Neither their proposed R1E or R3B average lot size are close to that. In fact, only 6 lots are sized above the master plan minimum. That means only 4% meet the minimum requirements for a master plan. The builder is deceiving us by including common ground, which houses water detention ponds to boost their numbers. This helps them get to their overall density of 4 dwellings per acre. They're doing this to make people believe the average lot size is near the master plan minimum. When you add up the actual lot sizes and divide by 138 units, you get the real number, which is 5.5 lots per acre, or an average lot size of 9/50th of an acre. This information tells us it does not fit the 2030 master plan. Now, there are a few lots that are 9/50th of an acre. They belong on the homes along the northern edge, which are villas. Other than that, there's only 5 homes within 1,000 feet with a smaller lot size. My neighbor directly to the left of me at 11 Green Springs Court, he has a lot size of 44,866 square feet, or 1.03 acres. You could put 6.9 of these R3B lots on his land alone. Neighbor down the road at 4001 Emerald, you could put 7.5. This information tells us these are not compatible lot sizes. For these reasons, should the Planning and Zoning Commission approve this zoning change, they show they're only interested in receiving these 138 property tax checks and are willing to turn a blind eye on their own zoning laws. They will also not be acting in good faith of the existing citizens and homeowners in our surrounding community.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak regarding application RZ 20-13? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Mark Atchley, Atchley. I'm the trustee for West Hampton Place Homeowners Association, 4388 West Hampton Place Court.
Go ahead, Mark.
So I actually had written down several things as we were going through this. It's the first time that we've seen the plat, or the proposed plat, so we did have questions about traffic and congestion, things like that, cutting through our neighborhood. We'll save that for the plat. The question, I guess I really kind of have a question. Once I do appreciate the presentation that the attorney gave. I would suggest that, when he's saying we want small lot sizes to make, a nice variety of houses, I think that is kind of code. Obviously, the higher density, the more money they make, and that's obvious. I would also like to ask, those nice pictures that we saw don't seem to coincide with what this gentleman said about the average actual lot size. I don't know that a ranch home with a 3-car garage, I would guess that maybe those 4% of the lots are the only ones that those nice pictures would fit on. So I would appreciate it if we could just kind of be more honest and say, all right, what are the homes actually going to look like here? Because if it's 54 feet wide, the houses that we saw there, I don't think any of them would fit with an easement on either side. And so that's nice pictures, but it's not really honest to us. So I think everybody really here, at least for my neighborhood, people are concerned about the high density. They're concerned about the multifamily, the attached homes. We come here to see a presentation. We see a nice presentation, but some of the things don't line up with with what we know. So I think that the overall question that I have is really, what's really going to go here, And if we go to the R3B, what prevents multifamily? What prevents them from changing this, from moving out after the neighborhood's half full and selling the remaining lots to somebody that does put much smaller lots on here? And so, like I said, most of mine are not comments. I guess there's some comments mixed with some questions. So
Thank
if
you,
we
sir.
could be more honest, I would very much appreciate it, and our neighbors, our residents would
Well, Mark,
appreciate
the
it.
preliminary plat will keep them from doing multifamily.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
The preliminary plat that they're proposing eliminates multifamily attached housing.
Okay, so it's the plat phase? Then I guess that answers that question, but the question about what are the houses really gonna look like? Because I don't think any of the pictures we saw fit on a majority, 96% of the lots, if that gentleman's math was correct, and it sounds like they were, so.
So we'll let him answer.
Be nice to see what's really gonna look like. More than happy to be neighbors and have more people in the area that fit in with the community and be consistent, so, thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else wishing to speak regarding application RZ 20-13? Come forward. Ma'am, did you fill out a card?
I did not.
You can,
Well, you fill it out later. That's okay. You fill it out later. You promise? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Debbie Ferreira, 1108 Dingledine Road, St. Charles, Missouri, 63304.
Okay, go ahead, Debbie.
So I would say that you've got a good representation of people here that probably are not with making these changes. I know you said a lot of stuff was going to come after, like the traffic, the crime, all that kind of stuff. So I'll skip over those things that I feel about that. But we are actually directly across from Dingledine, where the family's house is right now. And Rick is at the corner of Emerald Woods, and we're right next door to him. So what we've got is a little over a half-acre lot, looking probably going to be directly the back of all those houses that are going to be on the smallest side, where the houses are going to be smaller. And we've got at least a half-acre plus on all the houses on Dingledine on our stretch there down the road. And then the thing that I kind of see when the builder came, or the representation for the builder came, and you were asking him, are you going to put that in the covenant about the house size, the lot size, and all that kind of stuff? Well, I think it would be nice to have, yes, I'll do that. Yes, we're going to do that. Instead of just hearing, we'll kind of think about it, So I think that's all things we worry about. And then I'll talk about, I guess, traffic and all that next. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak regarding application RZ 20-13? Anyone else? You solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff, County Public Advocate. Mailing address is P.O. Box 1535 in O'Fallon. I haven't heard any type of compromise here. I haven't seen any sense of safeguards for the residents behind me and the whole list of emails that I've read. There need to be certain common sense conditions and restrictions here. I see an attorney who's paid as a hired gun who came here with mirrors and a fog show, not really giving the truth, as we've heard testimony and we've heard actual facts of lot sizes and actual square footage. Common sense needs to come here. This is going to have an effect on everybody, and it's going to affect all these adjoining landowners and subdivisions at great length. After reading these emails, there's a number of residents who could not come here because of COVID and because of the concern of getting COVID, and they took the time and the effort to write emails. I'm just going to highlight some of the emails. Charles Miller on November 9th, 2020. I request that someone from St. Charles County forward me the proper procedure to submit the written protest of legal remonstrance. Under state law and our codified code of ordinances, these residents behind me can sign a petition which would create a remonstrance to the county council of a supermajority vote. That would mean 5 out of the 7 council members that present at the meeting would have to vote to rezone this property. I would hope that staff would have given them the instructions on how to do a petition remonstrance. That's only the sensible thing to do in this case. Laura Taylor, November 9th, 2020, is opposed. Julie Burr, November 11th. We need a balance, this with the environmental concerns. Susan Elliott, November 11th. While it's inevitable that this acreage will be built upon, the proposed small lots and small homes are not what should be built on that location based on surrounding communities. Deborah, and I can't pronounce the last name, it's Ferreira, November 10th, 2020. We strongly oppose this rezoning. We feel it will bring property values down. George Cooper, November 10th, 2020. Strong objection. Why have a 10-year master plan that just was passed last year if you change it by request? Dave and Pat Colwell, November 11th, 2020. We are filing a formal protest. Again, did the staff give them the instructions on how to get 30% of their neighbors to do a remonstrance before the county council, as your vote is only recommendational? The county itself determined that this property was best used at R1 in the comprehensive county plan. Randa and Laura Van Isum on November 12th, we oppose. Daryl Bowman and Robin Fargarty Bowman, November 16th, 2020. This will have a negative impact, so such a development would be great on our community. Mike Johns, November 15th, 2020, has concerns with zoning, traffic, major safety concern of Emerald Drive intersection. Is opposed to, and is opposed to this development and rezoning. On November 15th, the Emerald Woods trustees put a very eloquent letter of 5 steps to you in opposition to this rezoning. If approved, these proposals will have a major negative impact on the area roads, both aesthetically and safety-wise. Terry Hone, November 16th, 2020. I say no to the rezoning. Dara and Harry Morrell, November 16th, 2020. We are totally against this proposal. November 16th, 2020. Nancy Nichols, we are strongly opposed. Protect our property values and our standard of living. Cynthia Chabanay, November 16th, 2020. I am distressed and very concerned. If citizens' voices have any weight, I want to express my concerns about the sheer number and size of these homes. Crystal Dybert, November 16th, 2020. The look of the highly density housing is less than ideal for the area in consideration, additionally lowering home values and the attraction to the area. James and Louis Scarcello, and there's no date on this, would prefer the zoning to remain as suggested by the 2030 master plan. Mary Shaw, November 16th, 2020, in opposition. Tracy Shepard, November 16th, 2020. Single-family homes versus the request for multifamily homes, multi-household dwellings. Richard Brooks, November 17th, 2020, disapproval. Richard Brooks, I believe this is the same. Nancy S.H. Shear, Nancy Schneer, November 16th, 2020, is opposed to this development. Carol Goodwin, November 16th, 2020, disapproves of the rezoning. I urge the St. Charles County Planning and Zoning Commission to deny this developer's request to rezone the area mentioned in the application PRE 2028 and have it remain zoned for R1B, Single Family Residential District, minimum lot size 20 square foot size. Rose Beckhand, November 17th, 2020. Protect our property values. Please vote against these proposals.
Mr. Dinoff, all these letters are part of the record.
Yeah.
We've seen them.
We can read, we've got these.
Of interest and concern is a letter that was sent about more high-density housing reduces value surrounding low and medium-density housing. There's already too much high-density housing in the area. Use of R3B zoning to further reduce single-family lot size should be illegal. High-density single-family housing developments create an undue financial burden on tax-supported services, public schools, fire, ambulance, and street maintenance. Higher density increases stormwater and low potential for flooding.
Mr. Dinoff,
Are you just gonna read every one of them?
as I said, all these records are part of the record.
I am highlighting them.
We've
We've read these. They're
You've
on
had
record.
you've had
We
your
we
opportunity to
appreciate
speak,
it.
sir. Do you have anything
Well, I
else
think that
to
these
add?
people need to deserve a voice since they could not be
They
here.
are. That's what we're
They're here.
I'm
doing.
not fighting and arguing with you. These people are not here that sent the emails.
I've read every one of them. Okay?
I would hope that all of you read all of them because I take it to heart and very concerned
So
that
do
the
you have
people have
anything new to add other than what's in these?
have a
emails?
very concern. It comes down to safeguards and conditions for the residents of this area. Density. These should all be single-family homes. Deny the R3B. It's scary. Take that out of the equation right off the bat. The square footage of the home has a lot to do with property values. It's almost giving Rouse Homes a free pass. If you allow them to have the R3B, they're going to be able to do what they want without any conditions. Added conditions that all homes must be detached. Common sense is in play here. I believe the residents have spoke loudly and clearly. I hope that they triple their numbers at the county council meeting upon your recommendation. I would urge you to deny this zoning. Rouse is just way out of the box and needs to be reeled back in. They're asking for something that no other developer, to my knowledge, of my coming to the years and years of planning and zoning commission meetings, has ever asked for this type of zoning. It's a free pass. Follow the money and deny this application of Rouse Housing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anyone else wishing to speak regarding RZ 20-13? You solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Terry Roberts, 4139 Stafford Place Court,
Okay, go ahead, Terry.
otherwise known as the south side of the lot. So
Okay.
thank you, council, for hearing me. Just a couple points, and they're really duplication, but just to underscore what some of these wonderful people have expressed. First of all, I want to come back to the word of compatibility, which we hear that a lot and is part of the master plan. Compatibility is, I think, what is one of the common concerns that you're hearing tonight, is that it's not compatible or conducive with the surrounding area in these neighborhoods. We want consistency, and I think we're all saying here that we're concerned about that. One of the other points that we're, I guess for lack of a better description, confused about is we were, I believe, assured that these were single-family homes, and yet our own correspondence talked about multifamily homes, and I think we're a little suspect and want a little more clarification on exactly, are these single standing family homes, are they attached homes, just to get a clarification on that. Third is on the square footage that was laid out by the attorney. I'd suggest that we check those numbers. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, my lot is about 16,000 square feet. The attachment showed that the lot size went up to about 10,800 for Stafford Place Court. So either my math is wrong or that number is wrong. And so, again, we want to be consistent and compatible with the lot that is just would be to the north of us. And then finally, on a personal note, we're one of the original owners of Stafford Place. The subdivision started in 1983, and we moved, or 1984, I mean. And so we're one of the original owners, and we worked hard to pay our house off in the 36-year period. And we're just concerned, we don't want to see the property value depreciate from having what we're all referring to as a high-density building. Again, we want consistency without anybody compromising property value. We worked hard, a lot of years, to pay the house off, and we're proud of that, and we just don't want to see the property value compromised. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. White. Anyone else wishing to speak regarding application RZ 20-13? Do you solemnly swear or affirm as you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or in the pains and penalties of perjury?
I will.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Rose Beckham, 65 Oak Springs Court, St. Charles, 63303. 4. I wanted to go back to the attorney representing the home builder when he discussed just not about the lot sizes, but also about the value. We recently had several homes sold in Emerald Woods subdivision, and they were close to $500,000. So his, I'm not sure exactly where his numbers came from 300 to 350, but it's blown out of there. So when we say we'd like to preserve our property values, and with the square footage of the lots in our subdivision, which is right across the street, but I know the others, like they said, in the adjoining subdivisions, they're a lot larger than his numbers. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak regarding application RZ 20-13? Anyone else? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing for application RZ 20-13 and ask the applicant to come back. Any questions for the applicant?
Yes. Yeah, how do you respond to the first gentleman that spoke that said that once you add in the retention basins, common ground, that obviously those affect the figures of the average square feet of the lots?
Right, so there's two responses to that. One is that's not how the county calculates density under the master plan, right? Density is the whole property as compared to the number of lots on the property. The second is, with the exception of Stafford Place and Emerald Woods, which is an outlier because those are big lots, all those other subdivisions would then be at 4 or more as well. So if you look, they all have either a creek or floodplain or some significant portion of common ground that they may not even realize, but that's always included in their density. So all of the subdivisions, again, except maybe Emerald Woods, would have a much higher number. So it's true. I mean, we can calculate it either way and compare those numbers. That's fine. But it's just apples to apples, right?
Quiet, please. Anyone else? Questions? Ms. Famer, you have a question?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Can I just add a couple comments, a couple
Sure, go right
clarifications?
ahead.
So just a few quick answers. The woman, the latest woman who asked where the property values came from, I just pulled those from the assessor's office and then looked at recent sales. I may have missed some houses. I mean, there's 500 or 600 houses around here, but those are pulled from the assessor's office. There were other specific questions asked about the Plat and how people can be convinced, I guess, that multifamily won't go in. And so that's why, I mean, the answer to that is that's why we're submitting the preliminary plat today, right? So we're going through this process of doing both at the same time to provide certainty that there won't be multifamily. It would make no sense to go through the plat process, spend all the money on improvement plans, and then turn around and have to redo it again, right? And then these people, everyone would get notice again, right? And then we would be unlikely to be approved right at that point. So I just want to put people at ease that by doing the preliminary plat at the same time, that's our assurance that this will be single-family homes. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. We will bring this back to the commission for consideration. Any questions, comments?
Motion to approve RZ 20-13.
Motion by Mr. Fromm. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Bamer, wait a second. Okay, so this is a motion to approve the rezoning request as presented for application RZ 20-13. Any questions? Okay. Ms. Sally, how do you vote?
No.
Mr. Clary?
No.
Mr. Kuhn?
No.
Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
Mr. Hollander?
No.
Ms. Bamer?
No.
No. And I vote no. Okay. So the rezoning request is denied.
Mr. Chair, if you tell people when this goes to the county council.
December the 7th.
Yes, December the 7th. Okay, so we, Mr. Meyer, we do not need to consider the plat, do we? Or do we?
Yes. I would
Okay.
consider the plat, yes.
Okay. So the application for rezoning will be heard at the December county council meeting, which is December the 7th, in this room. Our vote is just a recommendation to the county council. Okay? It's only a recommendation. So that's December the 7th, 2020. This will be on the county council's agenda.
Does it not have to have a supermajority at the county council, Terry?
No.
When it's been denied at this level?
No, because there's no remonstrance.
No,
Okay. All right.
So no, I think it would still be a 4-3 vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next on our agenda is a preliminary plat for Crater, did I say that correctly? Crater Farms, located at 1101 Dingledine Road. Application number is PRE 20-28. Property owner is the Marlene C. Loeffler Trust. Developer is Rouse Company. Engineer surveyors is Sterling Company Engineers and Surveyors. The current zoning is R1B, Single Family Residential District, 20,000 square feet minimum lot size. Requested zoning is to rezone 30.3 acres to R3B, multifamily residential district, and 10.5 acres to R1E, single family residential district, 7,000 square foot minimum lot size. Proposed lots 138, parcel size is 40.8 acres. The location is the west side of Dingledine Road, approximately 125 feet south of Pine Bluff Drive, near the cities of St. Peters and Welland Spring, located in Council District 7. Staff.
The facts in this case are essentially the same as what we previously heard in terms of the descriptions of the property, location, neighboring subdivisions, et cetera. Now, instead of a rezoning, which is asking a bigger question, this is a much more narrow question, and that is whether or not should this property be subdivided in the fashion that is being proposed in this preliminary plat, and should the improvements be built in this fashion as well. Quickly, how I would describe the proposed subdivision, I would say that in the area, they would already has what I would call suburban amenities. A lot of times we see plats that are developed in rural areas that really don't have any public improvements to speak of. But in this case, they're proposing, obviously, paved streets, sewer, water service, fire hydrants, sidewalks, et cetera. And again, those aren't necessarily what you see in rural areas, but this is a different context. I would say that the streets are well connected internally in terms of streets again. There's no proposed street connections to neighboring subdivisions. There's no opportunity to connect to neighboring streets because those tracks are already developed and there's no stub streets on this property. So all access would be taken from Dingledine Road with 2 streets providing access for the entire property. In terms of stormwater and water quality, that would be addressed in 3 of the 4 corners. There's common ground proposed in 3 of the 4 corners, so there'd be detention basins. And the northwest corner, which has just a little bit of flood zone, that's where the largest detention basin would be, and that's also where the largest tree stand would be. And that's how they were proposed to provide for much of the tree preservation requirements that they would need to meet in order to develop this subdivision. County staff's review, we determined that the plat meets all of the essential technical requirements of Chapter 410, which is subdivision regulations, with the exception of the tree preservation requirements. And I would say that according to their preliminary calculations, they would need to preserve about 4.1 acres of trees, and they're proposing about 2.8. So they would need to find a way to preserve more trees in order to meet the tree preservation requirements.
Any questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll ask the applicant to come forward. Sure, since this is a new one, I'll have to swear you in again. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Drew Weber with Hamilton Weber, 200 North 3rd Street, St. Charles, Missouri, 63301.
Go ahead, sir.
Just as a preliminary matter, I guess at this point, we'd request the commission to table until January and see what happens with council. Deciding on preliminary plat after a negative recommendation seems like maybe backwards. So if the commission's willing to do that, then that would be our preference at this point.
At the request of 3 commissioners, we can continue this. The 3 commissioners would.
I'd agree.
Okay. Mr. Fromm, Mr. Hollander, Mr. Cleary are requesting that this be continued until the January meeting?
Sure.
Okay, we are continued.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, we'll wait a second here as everybody's going to go. Okay. Please hurry. Okay. Please, we have more on our agenda, so take your conversations.
Good.
No, we're not done. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is preliminary plat for a re-subdivision of Boonslick Gardens, Lot 12 at Pennyroyal Lane. Application number PRE 20-29. Property owner developers Derek W. DeSalma. Engineer survey is Bax Engineering. Property zoning is A agricultural District 5 acre minimum lot size. Proposed lots is 2. Parcel size is 14.596 acres. Location is on the west side of Pennyroyal Lane, approximately 210 feet south of Stonewolf Creek Drive, adjacent to the city of Wentzville, located in Council District 2. Staff.
Okay, this property is zoned agricultural, and both lots are 5 acres or greater. And ordinarily, with our new minor subdivision plat ordinance, a situation like this would just go through the minor subdivision platting process, be submitted to staff, and upon approval, recorded. What this is, however, is part of Boonslick Garden subdivision, one of those plats that probably, I think it did exist prior to zoning in 1959. So as you can see, it was originally close to 14 acres. And so consequently, they do have to apply for what is referred to as a re-subdivision plat, which involves a preliminary plat, approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then final recording. Staff has reviewed the preliminary plat. It does meet the technical requirements from Section 410. And staff has no other comments on it. Everything has been reconciled in terms of what we required on the preliminary plat.
Okay. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, ask the applicant to come forward.
I thought everyone was here for us.
You should be happy.
Yeah, I know. I am very happy, very happy.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Derek DeSom, 215 Prospect Place Drive, Lake St. Louis, Missouri, 63367.
Okay, go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you for the statement. So yeah, we bought the 14 acres and hoping to split it down the middle, and we're going to hopefully sell it to our best friends in the world and each build one house on it and build our forever homes there. So.
And you're going to live next to each other?
Yes, we are. I know. Yes, sir.
5 acres.
Yes, sir. I love it. We love the land. It's perfect. So.
Now, I can't tell on the plat, where is the ingress, egress? Is it be just a single entrance or 2 entrances?
They can have 2 entrances. Pennyroyal Lane, I believe it is referred to, is a public road, so they can have an entrance on for each home onto
Okay.
that.
There wasn't, I didn't see anything indicated here on the, that I could see. Any questions for the applicant?
Nope.
Okay, so, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We will open the public hearing for application PRE 20-29. Anyone here wishing to speak? You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'll be brief. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff, County Public Advocate. I've reviewed this plan. It seems pretty cut, dry, and forward. I would ask for unanimous approval. It's a family homestead. They're trying to do right, trying to keep the property in their family and subdivide it. And I would ask that you approve this. It seems like a laid out, well-thought proposal, and I don't see any problems with this. Thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to speak regarding application PRE 20-29? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing.
Make a
Will not-
recommendation that we so approve.
Mr. Clary makes a motion. Is there a second? Second. Mr. Kuhn will give him the second. Mr. Fromm, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Hollander?
Yes.
Ms. Bamer?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Sally? Yes. Mr. Clary?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhn?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, get back to the agenda. Okay, the next on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of the October 21st, 2020 meeting. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the October minutes. Is there a motion?
I motion.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second are being made. All in favor, sign aye.
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 Minutes are approved. Planning and zoning updates. Mr. Meyer.
I don't have an update for you tonight.
Okay.
Happy to hear that.
That concludes our agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.